We don't have a
Fucking
whiteboard on this, do we?
John Madden.
Is that above our budget? We don't have the budget yet, right? So.
Hi, everybody. We're the three guys from nowhere coming to you from the Ritual Chamber. Please try and subscribe and make us part of your weekly ritual. I'm Andy. This is Josh, and this is Jeff, and we're here to talk to you about...
We're here to talk to you about fandom-related content, basically movies and comic books, basically just our normal takes on stuff, because this is what we like to do when we hang out, and we felt like we just want to share it with you.
That's perfect.
That's the long and short of it, pretty much. I mean, this is what we were going to do anyways, so why not? We're in the 21st century. Let's post it on the internet and get everybody else to join.
Yeah.
Absolutely. So with that being said, I think today what we're going to jump into is the Falcon and the Winter Soldier.
Captain America and the Winter Soldier.
If you will. At a later point. Yes.
Hey, fucking spoiler, sorry.
But yeah, that sounds great. So anybody want to take the reins on this and just get into it? Start it off with how you guys felt about the show.
Let's start off with an introduction to our feelings about the show.
Yeah.
I think it was wonderful. Coming off of WandaVision, and well, to be fair, coming off of Endgame and then COVID, and then the MCU has been promising us Black Widow, and one of these fucking days it's happening. And then they start putting out content on Disney Plus, and it's, my God, it's worked so well. They've done such a great job. WandaVision was great, and we'll talk about that another time. But The Falcon and the Winter Soldier is such a good show that covered a lot of heavy-ass topics and really gave fans what they wanted from an action comic booky kind of sense. But it was a good, timely, it was good content. It was something that was enjoyable. Hell, there was a whole episode where these guys fucking fixed a boat, and we were all enthralled.
With an 80s montage.
Yeah.
80s montage?
And also the best Winter Soldier line.
General.
Like, why don't you use the metal arm? Well, I never always think of it. I'm left-handed. It was like the best line. It was just natural and real. I'm like, yeah, you know. For me, I loved it, but it is kind of a B+ show, only because of how short it is and truncated that I felt it was truncated.
It's a long, broken up movie.
Well, yeah, it's a long, broken up movie, but it could have been longer. It could have been 10 episodes, maybe at least 8, but it was only 6. So it's still really fucking good. It's like amazing, but I just wish it was longer. You know, I was wanting more for like a little bit more development on certain people.
Yeah.
But that being said, what I do love about this show is the way they've handled, the way Marvel's always handled kind of B-level, lesser characters. I mean, even Falcon is kind of a B-level character.
Fucking Baron Zemo is...
yeah, exactly.
It's a secondary...
But, you know, it's my Batroc the Leaper argument. You know, throw Batroc the Leaper in, like, if that was a DC movie, or even like a Marvel movie made in the 90s, Batroc the Leaper would have been like the main villain of a Captain America movie with like some huge
Cheetah.
yeah, exactly. some huge backstory, or like some sad sack story about whatever. But no, he's just a merc. Just a guy. And same thing with Battlestar. What was his name? Lamar Hoskins. Another comic book character that was in the comics for years, and they got to throw him in. Yeah, he's not in it much, but it's cool.
He does have some good points in the show, though. He does have some impact in the show.
For sure. But that's what I'm saying.
I think it's great.
His death was Batroc.
Yeah,
his death was a
he does absolutely. And the thing that I liked about these shows, actually having watched them now, I think what I was worried about was how much budget is going to be put into these shows. Yeah. You know, you have these actors that are coming in that play these roles in these giant movies, and then you are going to scale it down into a show. And how's the budget going to work with the quality of the show? And that question was answered the first episode when you and I watched absolutely.
Together.
I mean, the opening sequence was fantastic.
Yeah.
I mean, it really felt like you were getting into a Marvel movie.
Yeah.
And so, and then with that also, I think what they did really well is the aspect of using that budget and making those characters like relevant in there, but also surrounding them with more, what's the word I'm looking for? You get more like character development because they're in real life scenarios rather than just them
that's what always
in a scenario.
The Marvel films and now the TV shows have always done. They've always grounded it in like this could be really happening.
Exactly.
Even down to like costuming and stuff like that. It's like Captain America's the original Captain America. His original suit was very much just sort of a standard almost standard issue
Like
style of
suit.
World War II. Yeah, flight suit just had the stars and stripes on it. So yeah, you have those huge action scenes, and then you get great character development of them just sort of walking around Latvia or building a fucking boat or fixing a boat.
And that's a good segue to discuss some of the topics that they covered in the show. So the reason some of these characters were as grounded and as important, even the villains, the flag smashers were somebody you could relate to, somebody you could think, it really made you think and look at them as they've got a real purpose. Ultron, I loved, a lot of people on the internet hate Ultron. I loved Ultron as a villain, but he was an android. He wasn't an android. He was a fucking robot. He was a robot that came to a weird decision. Thanos was, as Sam put it,
android. A cyborg is like half human, but that's just an android.
Well, technically he was just software in a metal body. We can get into
Which is an
stuff.
android.
But
Like
but
the Falcon,
Thanos,
right?
we're not getting on
as Sam
Eisenhower
put
for
him,
the rules.
as Thanos put, or as Sam put Thanos, he's an insane god.
Yeah.
Yeah.
These were kids, as Sam put it, a misguided teenager.
Yeah,
These
absolutely.
were people who, and they really deal with the post-blip world very well.
They've
What the fuck
definitely-
happens when half the planet
No,
disappears
for
and
sure.
it
And
reappears suddenly?
it answers a lot of the questions that people, you and I have talked about a lot, and we all have, about, just simple questions like, what if say, like a newlywed couple, like one of them gets blipped, or maybe they just had a baby or something, and they're like, the parents get blipped, what happens to the baby?
It's
And
the
like,
Castaway argument. Tom Hanks comes back.
Exactly.
Absolutely.
What do you move on?
But
and-
it was really cool dealing with, just the economic and the political structure of how the world would work and how senators and governments would actually deal with that. And like,
If you took away half the world's
because
population and then had to
because
bring
a
it
lot-
back.
Like, think about the last year we had.
And that's a
think about
top
all the
level
things,
thing.
all the things we our governments had to do just to adjust. Giving us stimulus checks and doing other things, and making these types of rules. Like, think about half the planet just like in an instant blinks away. And they're like scrambling to figure out what's going to go on, and then how do you deal with it coming back? Like
The readjustment.
And that's nice, but that's a top level thing. What makes the MCU so good and what made this show really good is it got down to the granular level of how are actual people dealing with this, and that's where we get our villains.
Exactly.
How are these people? And this is my bread and butter. That's what I studied is conflict.
Yeah.
In college, all I studied was conflict in the Middle East. These people, the flag smashers, are dealing with that exact kind of thing. Some people call them terrorists. They call themselves revolutionaries.
And also
wonderful.
a great way to handle kind of a hokey villain in the comics too.
Yeah.
Which again, my Batroc Leaper argument is MCU is always really good about being able to use a lot of C tier, D tier villains and or heroes,
Making them relevant.
by kind of switching them up a little bit. Another one, Power Broker.
Yeah.
that was a good.
And what I liked about this
Saw it
too
in the
was
third episode.
I think that the MCU continues to evolve, and it's in the way that it develops its villains. And what I liked in particular about this series was the fact that the villains, essentially the Flag Smashers, were very humanized and very relatable.
Yeah.
And I think
And I think
every
they did
time
a
it showed
fantastic
Harley,
job.
you like her.
You like her.
And
She's a
I think
likable
that
villain.
goes- I think that goes to a lot of the villains in the MCU, which I know a lot of people bitch and moan that
they've made some stepping stone villains.
Look, there have been for sure, but for the most part, I'm saying the most part. I'm saying the vast majority of the villains are usually someone you can either maybe not root for, but you kind of get it. You get where they're coming from.
Yeah, but in this one,
Even
what
Ultron,
I thought was good about this was the fact that the villains in this case were used to further develop the Falcon and the Winter Soldier, and it's great, and I love that. I love to see them do that than rather being like, hey, this is a villain that we're using to introduce this character.
Yeah.
Because obviously these characters have already been introduced, so it's good to see them be like a driving point into the developing of the characters. And
But
so
to your
I thought
point,
it was great.
But to your point too, is like you just totally. And even Sam, like he's like on their side. He thinks they're
He
totally
literally
right.
says
He literally says that.
I'm on your side. I just can't get behind the way you're
The
doing
way
it.
you're doing it, and the abuela of
Mama Danya.
Yeah, Mama Danya.
Abuela.
Yeah,
That's Eastern Europe.
Eastern Europe. Abuela's
Whatever. It's the same concept.
Oh,
I'm sure
Nino.
Now that gets us into our next one of the other big topics that they covered in the show is racism. So that's a nice segue. Thank you,
Yeah,
Jeffrey.
you're welcome.
Isaiah fucking
I'll be here all
Bradley.
day.
Isaiah Bradley was not only timely, but wonderfully and gently dealt with topic.
Yes.
That they covered a very heavy, very controversial, America is racist as shit topic
Yeah.
so well.
Yeah.
Their storytelling, the dialogue between them. When you first see Isaiah Bradley throw whatever the fuck that was into
It was
a
like a
wall,
toothpick. No, it was like a cigar box.
yeah, you go, oh shit, this guy's a
Oh, yeah.
super soldier. And then he discusses his shit, and then Sam goes and meets him several times. And his arc from get the fuck out of my house to crying and hugging Sam
Yeah.
because Sam says, now they will never forget what you've done for this country.
Yeah.
Is so powerful, and it choked me up when I watched it. Choked me up right now. Discuss a little bit about that. And I mean, even him, Sam getting harassed by the cops outside of
yeah,
Isaiah
absolutely.
Bradley's house.
Well, I want to say, because you're not as well versed in comics as we are, but when I first saw that they were going to Isaiah Bradley's house, I was like, no fucking shit.
Yeah, absolutely.
You're doing
Yeah.
Isaiah
You're gonna do
Bradley.
that?
Yeah,
You're gonna do
yeah.
that? And yeah, you're right. The way they did it was just so masterful. Like, and just the conversations about the symbol of the shield and the being the super soldier. I think they were a little too heavy-handed on talking about super soldiers, especially Zemo. I don't feel like that was ever his point about specifically super soldiers.
I don't know, man.
Not exactly.
I don't know, man. Civil War, his whole thing was to go to Siberia and kill them, but he also wanted to take down the Avengers because they broke Sokovia.
Yeah, no, but I think in Civil War it wasn't so specifically about.
He didn't just have a hard on for
exactly.
them.
He kind of had a hard on about like the Avengers and any.
But
kind of
I think
overly
that sort of kind of speaks to, like you said, overly strong. He don't like anybody that can do things that humans
Shouldn't
do.
be able
But-
to do,
but again,
which is a great
which
character
which
arc for
in
him.
his mind will always lead to flying cities and breaking
No,
cities.
yeah, exactly.
It will
Yeah.
always lead to death.
We'll talk about that in a second. Getting back on point, Isaiah Bradley and again when it was like, oh, I was like, no shit, you're gonna do Isaiah Bradley. That's freaking awesome. Very short-lived kind of miniseries.
Yeah.
Then dealing with race and dealing with the way. I mean, and again, it kind of goes into the Flag Smashers too. The way they're talking about. I think what's the line Sam says about when something gets good for one people, it gets worse for another, and vice versa.
Which is 1,000% true.
Yeah, and it was just really cool. It was just really cool.
Yeah, I mean, I think that the way that they addressed it was very good because it wasn't, it's such a touchy topic, and I think you have to tread lightly when you're coming into these topics.
Oh,
and
God, yeah.
what I liked about it though was the fact that it didn't take
It wasn't
away.
ham-fisted.
It didn't take away too much from what the show was about.
Yeah.
It was timed very well, and it absolutely relevant, especially in the concept of Sam becoming Captain America, and taking that burden on. If that's what you want to call it, a burden. I mean, I guess when you're talking about
heavy
given his
heavy was the
last
exactly,
monologue at the end, it kind of is a burden.
It is a
He
burden,
yells at the
and-
senator and says, I'm a black man wearing the stars and
stripes.
stripes.
Yeah.
What don't I understand?
Right, exactly.
And so,
in the best speech in cinematic history, just gonna throw that out there.
I thought it was well timed. It was well
Fucking
done.
Isaiah Bradley. Isaiah Bradley tells him, "You're no Martin. You're no Malcolm." And I thought that was a funny line right after he just did with this great speech.
All the interactions between Sam and Isaiah were fucking fantastic.
They were great. It was great.
He
It
may
was
not be
great.
Falcon anymore. He sure is black.
I mean, love that too. Like referencing him as the Black Falcon.
Yeah.
But yeah, I thought it was done really well. Like kudos to the writing team for that. I mean, the show was great, front to back. I really enjoyed every aspect of it between the action and how they addressed certain issues. There were some good montages there.
There's a
So
great
just
montage at
just
the
talking
end
about
when
that, kind of getting into the brass of the show. Obviously bringing in the Flag Smashers and making them feel like at the beginning of the show as if they are essentially the big bad for the show.
Yeah.
Right? And then they introduce John Walker, which is the first
I was
time that
about
we
to
get to
say,
see
we're gonna
Captain
see-
America not being Steve Rogers.
Yeah.
And this is a fantastic scene. I really like how they introduced his character.
God, yeah.
He's back at his old high school. You could tell he has a bunch of nerves because he is accepting this responsibility, this huge responsibility.
I told
But
my
at the same
mom,
time-
I was like, this guy, oh, he's a dick. Watch, and she watched it and goes, he seems like a nice guy. I don't know what you're talking about.
And
I love that art that started from that point.
He starts off as a really good character, wholesome. You really get this idea that
But
he
you
really wants to do
but
what's
then
best.
you really do start getting the sense that, you know, unlike Steve, who, you know, he didn't want to be Captain America. He said
He drew in his notebook in that first movie a dancing monkey with the stars and stripes.
Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
that's how he
But
felt.
even then, he wanted to join the army, not because he wanted to fight people or kill Nazis. He just didn't like bullies. It doesn't matter where
Yeah,
they come from.
yeah.
That's that line. John Walker, he starts out as a very nice guy. He earned it maybe, but also I'm trying to find a way to word this right, but he really start getting that sense that he feels like he deserves to be Captain
Yeah.
America.
Yeah.
Not that he just earned it, he deserves it.
Well, he later says they don't know what it's like to be Captain America. Like, Steve never thought about it that way. He just,
even Zemo
he just
makes-
was fucking Steve.
Even
Yeah,
Zemo
well,
makes a
and-
lot of points about that, about saying like, you know, that and not everybody can be Steve Rogers. I mean,
Yeah.
He says there will never be another
Yeah,
Steve.
yeah.
Well, because John Walker does later in the show, he kind of starts to like go back to all the merits that he's received and all these things, is to be like you said, this is why I deserve to be Captain America.
The line that Bucky asks him, "Have you ever jumped on a live grenade?"
Yeah.
Yeah, 3 times. He's like, they have a little trick with the metal thing. He's like, that's not the point, dude. Like,
Yeah,
you know, like,
yeah,
that's not the
exactly.
point.
Yeah.
You tricked your way out of
Yeah,
it.
yeah.
Steve would blow himself the fuck up
Yeah.
to save other people.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, and
Go ahead.
so in regards to John Walker, I thought he was a great introduction in this series,
And he played it so
and
well.
I thought he did
Yeah,
absolutely.
I mean, let's give Wyatt Russell all the
the
credit
credit
in the
really,
world.
and
because that
People
character is a
are-
hard character to play.
yeah,
Morons
absolutely.
on the internet are actually sending him death threats because he is that good of an actor.
Yeah, I know.
And-
no, well, that's the thing. Like U.S. Agent, or you know, that version of Captain America or
Mm-hmm.
U.S. Agent, like he's a hard character to like, and also he just fucking played it really, really
He
well.
did.
I think he did like I think in this 6 season show he did about 30 years worth of.
So we were talking about Wyatt Russell, and we had technical difficulties there, so we're gonna have to try and pick up where we left off.
I think Shadow came and pulled out the charger, right?
Yeah.
Well,
Wyatt Russell, fantastic actor. As you put it, he did 30 years worth of content and character building in a 6-episode series. I yelled at Jeff and said, "So did Isaiah Bradley. He did 30 years in jail."
he did do 30 years.
But Wyatt Russell,
Which in the comics, he was like 18 years in the comics.
Wyatt Russell was a phenomenal actor in this. He portrayed bastard Captain America, as I like to call it. We hated him, and that's what you want out of your actors.
Yeah.
That's what you want out of your character building. And then that leads us into one of the greatest lines that Wyatt Russell got to say, or in my opinion, when he looks up and says, "Oh my God, they weren't even super soldiers." When he gets his fucking ass handed to him by the Dora Milaje.
No, but the best line is right before that when the Dora Milaje say the Dora Milaje's jurisdiction is wherever the Dora Milaje find themselves to be.
Yeah.
That's
Yes.
like the best line.
Yeah.
And he just gets his ass handed to him.
And they come in as a team of strong-ass African women that just own everything.
Yeah.
They
Yeah.
show them what time it is.
Yeah, yeah.
You know that scene where she disconnects Bucky's arm, and he's like, I didn't even know he could do that.
That meme-
and it's like that
all-
just shows how badass they are.
Yeah, that,
you know what I
that
mean?
meme of Rocket, teach me. That was like the best
yes,
thing ever.
yes, that is. Hey, you know, we should throw that up there.
Yeah,
That
you
would be
should throw
great.
that out there.
Great Buzz Lightyear
But,
memes that came out of that as well.
yes. But yeah, so you know, getting back into that with the Dora Milaje, and then obviously you know, John Walker and all these great characters that have
And I
been
thought it was cool
introduced in
too.
this show.
I thought it was cool too that they used the chick that was from Civil War.
Yeah.
Not Michonne.
Yeah.
yeah,
not,
absolutely.
Denai Guerrera.
Yeah.
And,
Small.
but it shows that the Dora Milaje were not just Denai Guerrera. That there's actually a bunch of powerful actors. And then when the other one, she hits the shield and grabs it.
Oh yeah.
That was badass.
No, when she throws the spear and like locks him into the table.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
But I thought that was a good. I mean, I don't know if it was necessarily foreshadowing, but it was kind of a foreshadowing moment of a strong black woman holding the Stars and Stripes. She took the shield, and that was vibranium. It's vibranium that they got out of Wakanda. That Howard Stark went on a whole thing about. That's the last of it out of Wakanda or whatever, because that's what they thought.
Until they created Bucky's arm.
But that was that. I mean, there's a lot that it was a single moment that says a lot of shit.
They say that in Age of Ultron.
Yeah.
They thought Tony. Sorry, Steve says that Tony.
I thought your dad got lost. Yeah.
So just to finish up on John Walker, obviously, his character arc ended with him. I think we touched on it being like, kind of joining back with the group and like having like kind of a redemption arc. But the interesting thing that they brought in was,
I don't think it's exactly a redemption arc. I think it's just that's always kind of the person he's.
It's a redemption moment.
It's a redemption moment because he, the whole time he's wanting them to team up with him.
Yeah.
Or he's trying to take. He thinks he's the leader. Like I said earlier.
Yeah. When he does when he busts Bucky out of jail and then they're ringing the siren whoop, whoop, and they're all just sitting there hanging out
the whole time. He's thinking they should be following him. This is just him realizing that. He's new to this.
Yeah,
you know what
exactly.
I mean? And it goes back to my argument about, he just thinks he deserves this role. But, he didn't face gods. He didn't, or wizards or androids.
Yeah,
or Nazis for that matter.
Or Nazis. Like, he never fought in any of those type of stuff. And I like the argument, the conversation they had with him and Lamar have about the things they did in Afghanistan and like.
About would you take the super soldier serum? And he says, I've got 3 badges to remind me of the worst day of my life. I thought it was a great humanizing moment.
Well, and also just not
right before he becomes a fucking bastard.
But just kind of shows you the kind of guy he is. That he's a straight up soldier.
He's what Tommy Lee Jones would have given the serum to in 1943.
Exactly. And in these movies, the battles that we always see fought, basically superhero versus superhero. There is other wars going on, and they do talk about that in these movies. However, we don't really touch on that part of it. Like, there was no soldiers coming to face Thanos' army.
Yeah,
it was just an army of superheroes and whatnot. And again, he's just I think that moment. It's not exactly redemption. It's just him realizing that he has not been to their level.
Yeah,
and he's just kind of realizing that and getting it.
Hey, fun aside. So, if we think Tony Stark and Gwyneth Paltrow in armor, we could technically call them androids, right?
No, they're cyborgs. Technically.
Okay.
Or they're humans.
But they went and fought Thanos with the Guardians of the Galaxy and
you are correct, sir.
The Wizards, the big 3 when they fought Thanos and took his ass out.
You're not wrong.
But a fun thing that I thought about John Walker's arc, I guess if you would like to call it, is that at the end of it, clearly they introduce Madame Hydra.
Okay, so let's talk about this.
And so,
Tessa Valentina, something Allegra Fontaine.
Where do you think they're going with this?
So, it's really kind of interesting because when Marvel did, I can't remember the name of the storyline now, to save my life, but they did the storyline where Captain America was essentially working for Hydra the entire time.
It was Secret Empire.
Secret Empire, there you go. I kind of think that they're trying to do a little play on that. Not really, not completely, but a little bit. Because but hear me out. Okay. Hear me out. Because you've had this introduction of John Walker as Captain America. Then you strip that away from him, but then you see him. Agent. Yes, but then you still see him kind of trying to be still Captain America to a lesser sense, obviously, to when the Falcon takes it over. But now he's unknowingly working for Hydra.
Here's what I think. Thunderbolts or Dark Avengers. That's what they're setting up.
Okay, that's also really good. That's
because
we've
also got Secret Invasion and the Kree Skrull War still in the wings, sort of.
No, well, we kind of, sort of. That's been teased.
We don't know.
We do have a Secret Invasion show coming. We don't exactly know if that's gonna be a Skrull thing because I don't. Because now in the MCU, the Skrulls are basically good guys, which is they kind of were when they first came.
But if you remember, Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., they leaned into the Kree thing really hard. So that's what my brain automatically goes Kree Skrull.
Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. is out.
It's not.
Out of the camera.
You're right. But but then they fucking spent their wad on the Skrulls.
This is a whole other thing. I think that Kamala Khan, the Miss Marvel show, I think that might actually bring Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. back into the fold a little bit because Kamala Khan's in it.
Which would also be awesome to see.
Would
it be awesome to see Ghost Rider in the MCU?
counting my days. No, actually, Robbie Reyes.
Robbie Reyes.
Yeah.
He was
He was amazing.
He was great. He was great.
And I'm not gonna lie, I like Nicolas Cage's Ghost Rider. It was fine.
Hey, and if we
When he's
get
pissing
Coulson
fire?
back into the MCU,
Come on.
if Coulson
but-
could show up back
but-
in the MCU, wouldn't that be fun?
No, for sure.
But that being said, yeah, I mean, you know, there's so many different ways that they could go with this character arc for John Walker. It'll be great to see how they flesh his character out. I'm glad
Because
that they
remember,
did.
John Walker did though lead an iteration of the Thunderbolts.
That's true. He did.
So,
Yeah.
and I think it's just with Zemo, and it would be a really cool way for the MCU to introduce the
And,
Thunderbolts.
Thunderbolts,
and I
yeah.
want to see Wyatt Russell's little head tick a little bit more because they
They
hit
did so good.
they hit it so well. Even at the end when he becomes U.S. agent and he does that little hit, thanks Val. It shows he's just a little bit fucking still crazy.
Yeah.
But
And I think they're more introducing Leviathan other than just her being Madam Hydra and like keeping Hydra going. I think now that they're going with Leviathan,
You think so?
I think so. Because I think we're done with Hydra. We don't want to keep being.
I agree. I think they washed
But-
Hydra
but-
away.
What's more a perfect way? Look, obviously Zemo was Hydra, right? Then they bring in
Zemo wasn't ever Hydra.
Was he not Hydra?
No,
in,
no.
in this
No,
particular
no,
one,
he
he wasn't?
studied
Hydra.
Hydra.
Okay.
He studied Hydra
In
to
this
kill the
iteration, he was
Super
not.
Soldiers.
Okay. So, but again, you could also have that bringing that back,
Yeah.
digging up those,
Yeah.
skeletons in
also,
the
if you're-
closet.
if
I
you're
guess
gonna
if
do
you
Thunder,
would.
yeah. If you-
There's
And-
a lot of
and
there's a
having
lot of
them touch
Hydras
on
that
the
they
fact that-
explored in Agents of Shield that they left out of the MCU.
Exactly, and now
Well,
have,
no,
have
at
bring
that
back.
point, at
And
that point, that was still technically canon.
so, but here's what I'm saying: you have.
Not
You're bringing,
technically. I mean,
you're,
literally, Agents of Shield led into Age of Ultron. Like it had the season
Winter
finale.
Soldier.
No, Age
Well,
of Ultron.
both, really.
Both.
But
Yeah, you're
but,
right, both.
but see what I'm saying is that you're bringing back in Hydra by introducing Madam Hydra.
Yeah.
And what's the perfect way to have somebody that infiltrates, America as John Walker, who was former Captain America.
Sure.
And now
Yeah,
you're
and
providing him
yeah,
with
now
all
you're right.
these
You're right.
resources
You could do-
to where he's working alongside now Captain America and the Winter Soldier, and he could be
Yeah.
a double agent,
Yeah.
which is what
Fun-
they did
fun
in
history.
Secret Empire.
I want it to be Thunderbolts because that
It-
brings,
I mean, it
that
would
gives
be-
us more Zemo. And
Yes,
I
and-
love
and-
me some
let's be
Zemo.
fair. Fucking Baron
Yes,
Zemo was
absolutely,
amazing.
absolutely.
I
Baron
mean,
Zemo. Daniel Brühl, fantastic
like-
fucking actor.
And I know
Couldn't
so
have picked
many,
a
so
better
many
actor.
people hated him in Civil War, and you people are so wrong. You're so wrong.
Daniel Brühl has masterfully done everything he's ever been in. He's an incredible fucking actor.
Absolutely.
And as Zemo, he's
It's just gold.
he's just gold.
They
He's
were-
so
they-
fucking.
I think
when he
they
put on the
really-
purple mask, oh,
Yeah, and I think that they gave him in this show, maybe it was kind of fan service for them to bring him back and kind of develop his character more and make him more of what, you understand Baron Zemo being.
Yeah, well, I mean, because they do it
well, shit,
subtly.
we learned he was a Baron.
Yeah,
And
Yes,
that's what I'm about to say.
exactly.
They do it subtly by going in Civil War, it's just he was a special ops guy. That's all they know about him. But then he goes, "I was a Baron before you guys destroyed my country."
Yeah, exactly.
You know?
which is a great line.
And they did a really good job of kind of like modernizing
His-
or making
his
his comic book accurate costume be just sort of a real, just sort of that kind of leopard,
Yeah,
whatever
a
it is.
fifi jacket.
Yeah.
It's not leather. It's a fifi.
It's like,
jacket.
it's like
but
llama.
it's
like
white,
alpaca or
white,
something.
white with black spots. Dalmatian
He's a
for all I
Baron.
know.
Whoa,
But
Cruella
like-
DeVille.
But again, that's what he, that's
Yeah.
what he has in the comics.
Yeah.
And so that's a good so there's an Easter egg for
Modernizing
anybody
it
that,
and-
anybody that didn't notice. Captain America's exhibit at the Smithsonian was updated. It's subtle. You got to be paying attention to notice. It's updated to include all of the Hydra Shield stuff.
Yeah.
Later and the Avengers versus Thanos stuff.
Which is, I think a lot of people did not notice that.
All of that I didn't notice
I
until
didn't
the
notice
second
it.
watch.
I didn't
I didn't notice it until you mentioned it.
Well, there you go.
So-
So it's got all the Avengers Shield. There's actually there's panels that are lit when Isaiah Bradley goes back at the very end. There's these panels that are lit in the background, and one of them's got an Avengers sign on it that's cracked, and the next one has an Avengers sign that's dusted away, that like with dust, like fucking the
Yeah,
snap, the blip as we're
The
calling
Endgame
it.
logo, basically.
So yeah. So I thought that was a neat thing. Zemo, I would imagine, might be part of that.
Oh, sure.
They might have included him because this is now years and years after this dude blew up the fucking UN and almost broke.
At the very least 8 years.
He's the cause of them destroying an airport in Germany. So he's a known figure.
Yeah.
Which leads me into why in the fuck was he not in the raft in the first place? How are they able to just walk his ass out of prison? And then when the Dora Milaje get him, they put him in the raft. I'm like,
Yeah.
Why wasn't he in the fucking raft in the
Because I
first
think
place?
he got held by
Even Michael Sheen, fucking the
Michael
CIA
Sheen.
agent.
That's not Michael Sheen.
It's not Michael Sheen, but the British fella.
Oh,
From Black Panther.
Yeah.
When he
Sorry,
locks him up, and
I
he
love
says,
you, and I'm forgetting your name.
he says, move, I dare you.
Yeah.
And he's got him in that same thing that the Winter Soldier was in. It's like, okay, we know that this fella is dangerous, and we're gonna put him in a fucking ice cube box.
The raft,
But they didn't put him in the raft. I don't get it.
I think because in Civil War, the way they did the raft, they kind of did it the way they kind of were doing a play on what they did in Civil War, the comic books, with the 42 prison. And so it was basically a prison for just specially superheroes.
And Zemo is not necessarily. He doesn't have any special abilities.
Ant-Man,
Exactly.
Ant-Man was put to the raft. Without his suit, he's a dude. He's Scott Lang.
But
they put him in the raft.
So was Hawkeye. So was Sam.
That's my point. Is
I know,
Zemo's
but
just a dude. but Zemo's
still
10 times
technically-
smarter and dangerous than they are.
What I'm saying is that he's still just a dude. He's basically a prisoner of war.
Yeah.
So they weren't going to put him in like a super.
Would you like the easier
Maximum
answer?
prison.
It
But-
helped the story.
Yeah.
It helped the story for them to bring him the fuck out of jail.
Which also best scene.
Potato.
The
Yeah,
hypothetical.
let me pitch you a hypothetical. That was the best. Like,
Potato.
other next to Zemo dancing, which is like the best scene ever.
It's great.
Strong Bad?
And yes,
Which
Strong Bad
thank you
was hilarious.
to whoever it is that threw that on YouTube, and now we have an hour of Zemo dancing.
Like
Fucking
Strong
right.
Bad, I was like, oh my god. Anyway,
Took it back, didn't it?
for all you, the younger crowd, Strong Bad, just look it up. I mean, that was.
We'll insert it.
We'll do something at
insert
some
it
point
here
with
somewhere.
it. But going back to what you were talking about, as far as comic book accurate,
Yeah. As close as they can be.
as they can with the uniforms,
Uniforms,
costumes, whatever you
yeah.
want to call it. Let's talk about seeing Sam Wilson
Dude.
Yes.
put on the suit. What's in the box?
What's in the box?
And then he comes out in probably one of the most comic book accurate suits that we've seen.
Like even the side face
as,
thing.
as Captain America, and
Like
how
the second or third.
great was seeing
Kind of
him in
Iron Man
that.
Deadpool.
The poor fella in his
Seeing
last
that-
speech to the senator and shit, and he's on the news, and you can tell he's like having a hard time turning his head and shit.
But
He's got
I
thing,
mean,
but
the
it
suit
looks so good.
The suit looked so great, and it was really cool to see him like don that suit and then take ownership
Yeah.
of the character of what he becomes
And-
in the comics, which is Captain America,
and
a
everybody
great
else
scene, you know?
acknowledges it as well. I mean, even there's that scene with the two black guys. The older man goes, "That's the Black Falcon," and the other guy's filming, and he goes, "No, that's Captain America."
Yeah.
And later, there's an agent after Sam's amazing speech, and he's on the news, and he's talking to the senator, and he fucking nails everything. And then he goes over. They talk to Sharon for a second, and an agent randomly goes,
Says,
"Hey, Cap." That's the best fucking thing. It's just cementing. He is Captain America.
Yeah.
And then at the end it says Captain America and the Winter Soldier.
Yeah,
They changed the whole fucking
and-
title of the show.
And I really love like his character, because obviously when it comes to Captain America, there's been multiple different people that have donned that title.
Yeah.
Obviously Sam Wilson being the more recent one. Bucky Barnes was again. I think
yeah.
why they paired these two together was which one is going to end up having the shield.
Which is a beautiful end to end game.
And that too was just so natural because of their interactions in Civil War, in Civil War.
I hate you.
and
And then nod to, are you gonna put your seat up?
Put your seat up. That was great. That was fantastic.
But it was great to see him don that suit. It was also what I like about Sam being Captain America is kind of again going on to the fact of that he doesn't have any special powers.
Yeah.
And I loved
And
when
he says
when
that.
he decided that he wanted to pick up the shield, like they had the montage obviously of him training to be
Good old
able to
80s
fulfill
montage.
that role.
Well, they do a really
And-
good job of actually just painting that out about how Steve gave him the shield, and Bucky still has a big problem with him giving that shield away. But his actual reasoning for not wanting to have the shield, it's a good reason. He has a very valid reason to not, even though he's kind of dishonoring his friend.
When Bucky apologizes to him and says, "I'm sorry, Cap and I never could have understood what it meant to give a black man that shield."
Yeah.
fuck, that's a huge moment.
Yeah, and Steve would never even thought of it.
Yeah, he's the Star Spangled Man with a plan, and he's 100 years old, and he just.
Might have been a little bit jingoistic back in the day, but at this point, not that much.
But the thing is, as the writers in the room, and all hail Kevin Feige.
Kevin Feige with you.
They knew,
and with you,
and also with you. they knew that a white man saying that to him, and acknowledging his ununderstanding, if I can put it that way.
Yeah.
His not understanding, acknowledging that he doesn't know.
Yeah.
Is powerful and timely
but
as fuck.
But again, at the same time, when Sam says it feels like it belongs to someone else, and Sam says that's what, and Steve says that's why it's yours. I mean, that's powerful as fuck.
Absolutely, absolutely.
He's giving it to someone like him that doesn't really want.
Isn't the perfect soldier? He's the perfect person.
Yeah.
He's a good person.
And I think that's like kind of the representation of Captain America as a character in general.
Yeah.
His character is more about the heart.
Which is why John Walker failed.
Which is why Sam always kept trying to empathize with Carly, and actually it really did side with her in a lot of ways.
Exactly.
And those conversations are actually great. And
they're fantastic.
They're fantastic of him just talking to his enemy, basically.
Yeah,
which builds on his history
as
a guy that counseled PTSD soldiers.
And let's throw this out there to the actress that played Carly.
Yeah.
God,
did a fantastic job. I'm sorry, I don't know your name off the top of my head.
Carly Morgenthau, if you're out there.
But
absolutely, John Walker Morgenthau.
A fantastic actress. She really nailed that role. I think just the.
She was good at being threatening and then walking it back.
Exactly.
She nailed what speaks to me, that revolutionary idea of these are not fucking terrorists.
Yeah.
They were people. They themselves are victims. They didn't get blipped.
Absolutely.
They suddenly got, as she mentioned, had this not happened, I would have been brought up to hate you probably.
Yeah.
To her best mate, and all of these people wound up in nice homes. There was room in the earth, and as I'm gonna quote the great dictator here, Charlie Chaplin, "The good earth is rich, and there's room for everyone."
Absolutely,
that's exactly what happened. And then all of a sudden, with a snap of the fingers by Senor Banner, all these people come back and they go, "Hey, somebody's in my house. Get the fuck out of my house." And now these people are victims. They're not refugees. Which great line. We're not refugees because we have nothing from which to seek refuge.
Yeah, and the GRC is completely wrong in
every way.
Again, we talked about it earlier about how it's interesting to see how the blip affected things geopolitically and economically.
And on an individual level.
It's interesting and on an individual level, but it's interesting. But then you're looking at. We deal with it every day. You're looking at congressmen and people in political power basically making the wrong fucking choice all the damn time.
As Sam said, who's in the room with you when you make that choice?
Exactly.
The people that are being affected are people just like you.
Politics. All right, so let's go ahead and get into it then. Like you said, Sebastian Stan. I guess we didn't give him any love.
Yeah, we really
so we got to touch on good old Bucky Barnes, the Winter Soldier.
Sergeant Barnes.
Let's kind of go into my rating when we get to there. But that was he was awesome. I mean, his relationship with Sam is like so great. And again, set up in Civil War with the whole "where are you gonna move your seat up? I hate you" and shit like that. He was great. I loved the scenes with his therapist.
Yes.
Where he's
telling
the truth.
I love the way that was filmed.
Yeah.
He was a little shrunk.
Yeah, he was a little shrunk in it.
And I love his scene in Madripoor when he's with Zemo and Zemo tells him, "You're gonna have to be somebody you claim is gone," and then he tells him, "Fucking Zine Soldat," and he fucking ready to comply, Winter Soldier, and he makes him become the Winter Soldier, and he looks over at Sam and is like, "Well, it didn't take a lot for him to get back to it."
Yeah.
He whoops ass all of a sudden.
And also his interactions with John Walker, because you can tell he just fucking hates that he's holding that shield.
You're not Cap.
You're not Cap. And like when John Walker says you don't want to do this, and he just goes, "Yeah, we do."
Yeah.
And he just goes straight at him. The one kind of down with that is just the overarching story of his relationship with the older Asian gentleman whose name escapes me.
Nakajima.
I thought that was a good story.
No, it was good. It just kind of like, it was there in the beginning, and it went away. Which of course, you have other shit to deal with.
Yeah.
Bigger things. Things to deal with.
Kind of
I like
retouch it
it
at the end.
Yeah, because it's a side arc. I mean, it's
Yeah.
not something that should be a whole
Yeah, no,
thing.
I understand it's a B story, but I wish it actually showed him telling him that he killed his son, and actually really showed that, and really it kind of touched on the kind of aftermath of that, of him walking past the place they would go to lunch, and
he's being by himself.
Yeah.
And the cute girl bartender and whatever,
but that was also adorable too when he's on the date with the bartender. That was adorable.
Yeah, and so I mean, definitely.
And also, you know who Gandalf is? Yeah, I read The Hobbit.
1937.
Exactly. Yes, that
When it
was
first
great.
came out.
That was great. And definitely like kudos to Sebastian Stan, because I think he's realistically like
A beautiful human being.
He's really owned that character, and
Yeah.
he's really done a good job.
As everybody in the MCU has.
No,
but he
absolutely,
really has.
yeah. But he has really nailed that character.
And he goes back, just to touch on that, he goes back and forth from comical and cute to the fucking Winter Soldier.
Yeah, absolutely.
He can do both things as
Does
an
the
actor.
dichotomy between the two.
As an actor, that's amazing.
Which is annoying because a lot of people have problems with that. Like, everybody in the MCU is a quit machine. Like that's how we talk to each other.
Yeah.
That's how people fucking talk to each other. So, like,
Human interaction.
We might not all be super clever about it. But sorry, I'm a quick high horse. I really hate when people say that. Like, oh, everyone in the MCU is a quit machine. Yeah, that's how fucking people talk to each other. Like,
Regardless.
How do you talk to your
Regardless,
friends?
yeah. I mean, if the world was ending, I would literally come to you and be like, "Hey, the world's ending. You want to have a beer?"
Yeah.
I mean, like, you know what I mean? It doesn't.
Well,
always
that's
have to-
not-
You would say
it's
something
not, it's,
kitschy.
it's not always doom and gloom. You know what I mean? You gotta make some light out of this situation.
This isn't comedic gold, but it's how people talk to each other.
So Sebastian Stan, great actor. Winter Soldier, great character, and we've seen this arc come together really well.
But
another character,
And I
though,
can't wait to see how he goes forward.
Here's the thing, though. So Jeff actually texted me, I think it was halfway through the series, to let me know that he thinks that Sharon
Yep.
is the power broker. And what happened there?
Fucking
You were completely accurate.
So Dickhead over here
So-
called it.
so
and he called it way early.
So
and he was right.
Let's hear your thoughts on the power broker.
Well,
then at this
the
point.
thing that made it obvious to me was when they're having that
Power
fight-
Broker Agent 13.
No, when they're having that fight in the. So was she blipped?
I
No,
actually don't know. I
don't think she was.
I'm assuming she wasn't.
There's no way.
Because it took 5 fucking years to build up that kind of power.
Yeah, for sure.
You know.
But so definitely she wasn't blipped. Okay. But no, it was obvious to me was when they have the whole fight in the container yard, and then like immediately the car comes, picks her up. I was like, all right, yeah, she's a power broker. She's 100% power broker.
So then, all that being said, obviously at the end of the show, she gets like reinstated or
How do you think
whatever
she's
the fuck.
talking
it
to
is.
you on the phone?
She gets pardoned.
That's what I'm curious to know what your thought is on that. Who is she talking to at the end of it?
I think
because clearly
she's
she,
talking to
clearly,
Martin.
yeah,
She
no,
doesn't know.
no, yeah, she's clearly
no,
gonna
her
work
peeps,
as
nobody
as-
important. Her people. She's the fucking power broker. There's nobody above her.
She might be talking to Bao.
Nah. Don't see it.
Ooh,
Don't
good.
see it.
That's
Don't
good.
see it.
That's good.
Goes
So
in my whole Thunderbolt theory.
She's just talking to her
So
That
folks.
goes in my whole
we're
Thunderbolt
clearly
theory,
gonna see
or Dark
where-
Avengers.
We're clearly going to see where this goes. Obviously,
There's
with
gonna be another
everything
season.
that the MCU does, they clearly have thought years ahead
Yeah.
from
Oh no, they
what
have
we
Phase
can.
5 planned out.
Yeah,
They
what
may
we've,
fight
what
me
we've
with
even
that.
expected. We haven't even touched on where they might go with this.
Yeah.
So
Our
let's
episode about WandaVision is coming soon.
so let's go ahead and talk about. We'll just go ahead and wrap this up with
Yeah.
the overall thoughts of essentially the impact of this show on the MCU going forward, and we'll start left to right.
Sure.
You sure?
We'll start right
yeah.
to left.
Do you want to say? Yeah, start with you.
It's
It's
gonna
going right back on.
it's gonna be interesting for me, I think, to see how going forward with the MCU. Obviously, like, we got Sam Wilson as Captain America.
Yeah.
Captain America has been a leading figure
And
in
they have announced-
every
everything.
Avengers
And they have
movie.
announced
the
that
first
Captain
Avenger.
America
Is-
is going to be Captain
Winter
America
Soldier
4 is going to be,
yeah.
be a thing.
Oh yeah, with
And Bucky's going to be a huge thing. In
Mm-hmm.
that.
So
but then they're also going to do the Captain America and Winter Soldier season 2.
It's going to be interesting to see, obviously, Captain America in the forefront with Sam Wilson being Captain America, because he essentially is, whether people want to admit it or not, Captain America was the leader of the Avengers.
Yeah, absolutely.
And so,
I think even Tony says that in Avengers 1.
I think he does
something
too.
along those
Yeah,
lines.
and I think Anthony Mackie is the perfect actor to go into that, especially
also-
after watching this show.
And also,
he
I just
was
want to
so
see.
good.
I just want to see Anthony Mackie be interviewed for things. The MCU
Anthony
related.
Mackie's a
Because
phenomenal
he's
actor.
hilarious.
He's great.
And I
He
think
is
the quote
great.
you're looking for is, he's in charge, I just pay for everything and run everything.
That's an Age of Ultron.
Yeah. But it will be great to see him
Make everyone look
take,
cooler.
take up that mantle and lead charge of the team. Because again,
With the comic book appropriated outfit
absolutely
that you have to wash more because it's white.
because it's that's
He
right,
doesn't.
right.
He doesn't have that. Deadpool would have put his brown pants on.
But it'll be great to see him in that forefront. He's done a fantastic job throughout
Yeah.
all of the movies playing the Falcon, and it'll be great to see him taking up the mantle of Captain America going forward in these movies.
And Cap in a new way because he's got fucking wings now.
Yeah, absolutely. Which was a great thing to see him kind of utilize the
the
dichotomy
way-
between
the
the
shield and
Falcon
the
and
wings
the
And in
together
fact,
shield.
was
Absolutely.
in fact, this show was the first time we got to see Falcon kind of use his wings in just general street fight, not just that he's flying around.
Yeah.
And so other
And
than
tripping
that,
up John Walker and shit, like that was awesome.
the impact that I think on the MCU is going to be really interesting because I don't think Baron Zemo is going away.
No.
I think he's coming back. I'm interested in seeing how he's coming back. Obviously, again,
Thunderbolts.
with my thought again is still on Hydra. I know you're going to
Thunderbolts.
Thunderbolts, but my thought's still on
I don't
Hydra.
know the Thunderbolts line, but I kind of agree with Josh.
You agree because you're wrong.
No, no. Let me rephrase. I agree with you that I think the Hydra thing has run its course.
I don't think it's going to. Hydra is still a comic book story arc that they're still working with.
True, but
So
so was AIM, and AIM kind of came in, went
That's
out the window.
that's true, but
there's other organizations that I'm now forgetting.
The Illuminati. I mean, there's other.
well,
there's a
they've
thousand.
the
they've
Illuminati.
also
There's 1,000
introduced
fucking things.
Shield.
Yeah,
So I mean, we'll see.
but they got rid of Shield. Shield's no longer a thing.
Not Shield, Sword. Sorry.
Sword.
They introduced Sword.
So they got Sword. So they're clearly in the process of introducing new organizations.
Yeah.
But I personally feel that Hydra is going to
It's
be
either going to
revisited.
be. No, I think it's actually either going to be the Leviathan thing or and Thunderbolts.
Okay.
That's what I'm going with. That's my takeaway.
Okay.
And if
so,
you don't know what Leviathan or Thunderbolts are, Google it.
Yeah.
So
because we're not going into it there.
that being said, again, Zemo obviously going to be a reoccurring character. John Walker
hope so.
is obviously going to be a
U.S.
reoccurring
agent
character.
is going to come back.
And so
How fucking awesome did his U.S. agent costume
the
look?
impact on the MCU with this, I think, is exponential.
Yeah.
I really think that with this show, more than WandaVision, which was fantastic, and I think it's such a hard thing to follow up a show as good as WandaVision with this show. But this show opened up more doors to possibilities of what the MCU can explore.
True.
Because
And that's what I'm really happy to see.
WandaVision was a great show that set
it was
up
very
how
singular.
fucking powerful Wanda is.
And
But it had one job.
yeah,
It had one job.
And WandaVision's basically.
I had to bring Vision back.
It's
sort
also
of in
it's
full.
also basically the prequel to Doctor Strange 2.
Yeah.
We'll talk about WandaVision next time.
But this one, you're right. That had a couple jobs it needed to. WandaVision had a couple jobs it needed to accomplish.
Yeah.
This one opened up fucking everything.
Yeah.
This one discussed the post-blip world, what people went through, how these heroes are dealing with. The fact that Avengers can just walk around the streets of Baltimore and fucking go, "Hey, there's Isaiah Bradley. I'm gonna fucking go," and it's just a thing that they do.
Everybody even says, "I know who you are."
Yeah, everybody's like, fucking Avengers. Here we are. It's just a natural thing.
Yeah.
As opposed to the DC, which I like to shit on a lot. The DC universe,
shit on it.
they're all.
We're not even bringing up the DCEU.
No, but
Yeah,
here's a good
no,
point.
but they have secret identities, and they've kept to that comic book kind of storyline of secret identities. The MCU, from Iron Man fucking 1, I am Iron Man.
Yeah, that's true.
They've never had secret identities. They've been out in the open, and now apparently they're just walking around the streets of Baltimore. I love that. I love that these are just regular people trying to fucking
Humanizing the
save the Earth.
characters.
And Marvel Comics has been kind of that route.
Humanizing characters.
With the
They did an
exception of-
entire episode where they fixed a fucking boat, and we were on it. Like,
Yeah.
we were in that shit.
I mean, and the Marvel Comics in of itself has been kind of on that route for the last 20, 30 years anyway. You know, like no one really, secret identities isn't really a thing, with the exception of like Spider-Man. But yeah, so
we're using our made-up names.
For me, the impact on MCU is same, just mirroring what you said. I think we're getting a lead up to Thunderbolts, which I want Thunderbolts. That would be awesome to have kind of our own Suicide Squad version, which is basically what Thunderbolts is in comics. Better. Only better done.
Deadpool.
No. Well, not that.
Well, we got more
I'm
Deadpool
talking
coming.
about the
Early
the Masters of
Thunderbolts.
Evil
Okay.
Thunderbolts.
Okay.
We got more Deadpool coming, though.
We do have more
Excited
Deadpool
about
coming.
this.
But yeah, again, you said it all, because Cap being Falcon being Cap being Falcon being
A
Cap.
black man wearing the stars and stripes. What don't I understand? There's one of the greatest fucking lines ever.
That's gonna be amazing. And also, I think we're heading into an era of the MCU specifically where I think now we're left with people that just want to keep doing it.
Yeah.
We're not like I'm not trying to shit on Chris Evans or RDJ, but like even Chris Hemsworth, his original contract was like,
Or Logan.
we're already way past
We got
his
X-Men
original
and Fantastic
contract.
Four.
Yeah. I mean, I think he enjoys
X-Men and
playing the
Fantastic
character.
Four still have to fucking get
And I'm not saying RDJ and Chris Evans didn't. They enjoyed it. Even Chris Evans said like, I wish I could keep doing it, but
It was a natural wrap to that story.
It was a natural wrap to that storyline. RDJ's just he's just old.
Yeah.
So now that we've
he did fantastic.
now that we've discussed the impact,
am
though.
I still talking? I believe I am. It sounds like I am. But yeah, I was almost done anyway. But yeah, so this was a really good, a good show that like really kind of is going to push us into the next era of Marvel movies that aren't the more fantastical, which we have a lot coming up.
We got a lot of the other dimensional shit, and this was
a lot more of a good.
This was a
grounding.
Captain America and the Winter Soldier.
We might be exploring the possibility of different Earths, which would be fantastic to see. We're gonna wrap this up.
We're gonna wrap this up with
our rating system.
So
Jeff is gonna explain our rating system. Let's hear it.
We decided.
No, this is great.
Okay.
Please, love it.
We decided our rating system would be based off the 12 Monkeys. Why? Because we all love the 12 Monkeys. Great fucking movie.
And there's a nod to the 12 Monkeys in this show, actually.
That he thinks he saw.
He thinks he saw it.
There's a fucking monkey in there. I'm sure.
But it's not.
I'm
It's
sure
not
it's a
12
nod.
Monkeys.
I'm just saying.
Fine.
Just saying.
But so this is how we're gonna start rating our stuff, our reviews or whatever you want to call these, off 12 Monkeys. So Josh, how many monkeys?
I'm gonna
Still rated out of
give
10.
the Falcon and the Winter Soldier 12 monkeys.
Of course.
It was fantastic, front to back. I mean, it's absolutely watchable. Definitely gets you engaged. Character development was fantastic. The storyline again for the villains that we touched on, relatable. They don't really feel like villains as much as they're maybe anti-heroes.
Yeah.
So
for sure.
and I love the concept
Even
of that.
Zemo.
And the whole thing was done very well. And the concept of how I think that you would attribute life to, maybe somebody's opinion doesn't fall in with your own. That doesn't necessarily make them a villain.
Yeah.
It just makes you have a difference of opinion into what is right or what is wrong. So 12 monkeys for me. Let's hear it, Andy.
All right. I was going to defer to Jeff to see what he's got because I know it's not as good as I'm going to give it another 12 monkeys. This show is incredible on every fucking level. Cinematically, it was so well done. Story-wise, it was well paced. It did great character development. It got us where we needed to go. Just watching this on its own, you're going to enjoy it. You're going to get the entire story. You're going to feel good about everything. As you mentioned, the villains you back. The hero even says, Sam Wilson, who becomes Captain America, even says he agrees with the misguided teenager's point of view. The villain, stop calling them terrorists. They're not refugees. They're not terrorists. You have to ask why. Why are these people doing this? They really dive into that, and that's deep. on a very timely level, what they do about race in America with Isaiah Bradley's storyline and Sam Wilson going and talking to Isaiah Bradley, talking about race in America, and no, they will never let a black man be Captain America, and any self-respecting black man would never want to be, is one of the most powerful fucking lines in this day and age. This is so timely and so important. It's 12 fucking monkeys all the way. It couldn't be better. I have no complaints.
I'm giving you 11 monkeys only because.
Ooh. Yeah,
I have to buy half.
After the break,
I have to buy
we had
half.
a little change of heart.
Well, no, just I felt like 10 and a half monkeys was too low. I'm giving it 11 monkeys.
It's that half point.
Yeah, it's that half point.
Was it the top half or the lower half?
It was lower half.
If it was a barrel of
If I'm
monkeys,
cut-
would it be missing an arm?
Yeah. No, I'd be missing a penis.
Oh, okay.
And crazy legs.
And crazy legs. I'm giving it 11 monkeys. And again, my
And a tail, I suppose.
everything they said is correct. I loved it. I loved everything about it, and it was perfectly paced. I wished I wanted 2 more seasons. I wanted more, and that's really all it was.
2 more
I wanted
2 more episodes.
Yeah, whatever. I keep saying seasons instead of episodes. I wanted 2 more episodes. Also, I read somewhere that a facet of the storyline that they cut is that there was a pandemic going on because of the people who came back and et cetera, and germs and whatever.
Interesting.
Which would have been interesting. And so there does feel like there are some things that were cut.
A little pace.
A little bit
off on the pace.
A little bit off
We're
on
gonna
the
get
pace.
another season now, apparently.
Yeah, a little bit off on the pace. And again, I wanted 2 more episodes. So,
All right.
But yeah, that's it. Other than that,
he
everything
gives it
else-
11 monkeys, but he liked it so much he wanted more. So
Yeah, no, but
let's put it that way.
But that's what I'm saying. Like I wanted more Zemo, and
So that being said, thank you guys so much for watching. Again, please subscribe if you have the chance. We're gonna continue doing this for you guys, for ourselves. But if you guys have any topics that you would like us to discuss, any movies, any shows that you guys want us to talk about, go ahead and leave that in the comments, because we will definitely read those. We'll definitely revisit the ideas that you guys put out there. This is something that's fun for us, and we hope that it was fun for you. So we'll definitely take the opportunity to revisit some really fun topics. So again, go ahead and leave your comments there.
Just do Marvel stuff. We are going to touch on DC stuff.
We got
comic
comics, we
books,
got anime, we've got
horror.
horror
Music,
movies.
video games.
everything.
If you guys want to talk about it, you guys want to see
maybe
us
some
suck
video
at those
games.
things. Like,
Oh, yeah.
we're here for whatever you guys want to talk about, whatever you want us to discuss. We're here. So again, please hit that subscribe button, and you guys will have a great night. So I think I'm signing off. You later, bitches.
Thanks for watching 3 Guys from Nowhere.